Almost. But I remembered right on time, right on time. So we're on Facebook right now. We're going to be recording. So if there's somebody that you said, oh my gosh, I wish they would have been on this call, you'll be able to get the recording too. And so that would be on my YouTube channel. So no further ado, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Tiffany Marie. I am a double board certified physician in family and lifestyle medicine, and I practiced family medicine, private practice, urgent care, telemedicine. That was about 20 years. And then I got tired of giving people a bunch of pills. People weren't getting better. They just needed another pill for this problem, this side effect, this drug interaction. And as Dr. Esther understands, that got tiring. That was not what I signed up for. Okay, that wasn't real medicine. Whose lives were we helping doing that? Right? So once I woke up and said, okay, got to be something else, I got board certified in lifestyle medicine to go after the root causes of why we get sick. What is it? What are we dealing with? Let's knock this out here. And I started getting on social media, and I came across someone who said, you know what? We actually know of some natural products that can make these lifestyle changes you talk about so much easier, so much better for people to be sustainable. They can be sustainable and they can be consistent. And so we're going to first tell you what's going on, share some great stories, and what solution we have that we're seeing make some great results. So with no further ado, I had to bring on somebody with me because I didn't want to just do this call by myself. So I solicited another like-minded physician, and she gladly took on the challenge. And I'm here with Dr. Esther, who's going to share how awesome she is.
Well, soliciting or coerced another physician, I don't know, but that's the jury's still out. But anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany. I love doing this with you. Um, just like Dr. Tiffany said, I am a board certified family medicine physician, or my name is Dr. Esther Ngare. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I am based out of Houston, Texas. And for many years, I sat across either the desk or the patient bed, but listening to stories of things not getting better, patients coming in with problems, and me giving the solutions that I was trained to give them. And much to my dismay, when they came back, they weren't better. If anything, it seemed like things were worse. And I blamed the patients. Why didn't you do what I told you? And it's easy to do that when you have the advantage of youth on your side because, at that point, everything seems to be working well for you until you start getting up there in age and it all starts catching up with you. And now you realize, oh, okay, this is what my patients were talking about. And now, you know, you start digging because you're like, no, this is not the way life goes. This is not what I want for my future, but it seems to be coming at me at full speed. And it's in that fight trying to figure out what I was going to do for my own struggles that I came across Dr. Tiffany talking about me, because that's exactly what it felt like. Like she was talking about me and she didn't know me, but she was talking about every struggle that I had and then some, and talking about the struggles that I had sat for years listening. And I knew I just had to jump on this, at least for myself. And it just took a month for a patient to be brave enough to make a comment about my skin, and then the next thing about my belly. And yeah, yeah, patients will be brutally honest
Yes.
sometimes, when you have that relationship with them and they're like, yeah, you always carry that weight around the belly and it seems to be going up. What are you doing? And I was excited that I actually now had something to tell them. And so I started talking about it. And then I realized just what I had been handed. And beyond the patient room, it became something I couldn't keep quiet about. This was now something that I could talk to my friends. You didn't have to be my patient. You did not even have to know me. I was going to find you on social media and you're going to listen. And I was going to join Dr. Tiffany and invite you to Zoom calls and listen. And hopefully you keep spreading the word. And that's why we are here today. And thank you so much for heeding the call to come in. Join
Mhm.
us, come and listen to this, and hopefully you'll hear us talking about you, and you're going to hear us give you the solutions. And our hope is that you do take a chance on yourself too. At the end of this, that you also realize that the story doesn't have to keep going downhill. Maybe that's what you're feeling, or that's what your worry is. So as we go through this and as you listen to the testimonies, think about what you can do, because we're offering you the solution. And
Yes.
so, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we have an awesome guest that I'm assuming you're going to introduce for us.
Okay, yeah, I will introduce Nancy. These are not usually things that are pre-planned. I met Nancy today on the phone. As we always look for people who've been using the protocol and would like to share their story, just guiding them on how we run the call when they'll come in. And so I met Nancy today, and I will let her tell her story because, yeah, let me just give you the floor, Nancy. Over to you. And actually, you highlight her, please.
Yep.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from. My name is Nancy. I have been a registered nurse for 20 years, primarily specializing in chronic disease management. So for the last 2 decades, my career has been defined with clinical data, evidence-based guidelines, and helping patients navigate long-term illnesses. So despite my medical training, I found myself completely unprepared for my own body's transition into perimenopause. And the reason I give you this just gives you a journey of how I ended up where I am today. So like many women, I was hit suddenly with brain fog, getting frustrated with word-finding problems, challenged my own confidence. I was having persistent joint pain, generalized body aches. I was having unsettling heart palpitations, having insomnia, which I've never experienced before. And then I was starting to get stubborn midsection fat, despite my usual routines. As I was telling Esther today, I have been exercising since university days because I took a class in PE thinking it was going to be easy. Turned out we had to show up to get the grade. So since then, I fell in love with fitness. But despite that, I was starting to get stubborn belly fat. And as a clinician, we really do well in managing others. And then I found that I was neglecting or misunderstanding my own biological shifts. So my path to the solution did not begin as a medical journal. It came through a personal connection. For several years, I've been friends with a lady named Kemunto. She's on the call, otherwise known as Mama Mboga. Interestingly, we never really met in person, despite the fact that we lived just a few miles apart. Yet we had identical philosophies regarding proactive wellness. I saw Kemunto speak about metabolic health and how it changed her own health. So I asked her about it. I reached out to her, and she actually thought I was somebody else because my tribal name is similar to somebody that she knows. It's only later when we started talking, she realized she was talking to the wrong Kwamboka. But the impact was already made by then. So she introduced me to the Unimate products, and I was immediately drawn to it because I'd already looked up the clinical background behind it. I listened to a few videos, and naturally, I'm skeptical about health trends. However, when I looked at it closely, I liked the science behind it. And the fact that it supports metabolic health, cognitive function, and satiety. So from this, I decided I will go ahead and give it a go. So I started doing this back in February. I decided I'm gonna go all in and see what happens. So for one, I love running, and the perimenopause made me have a lot of joint pain. I would wake up to stiff joints, severe knee pain. And after starting the product, 2 months later, I realized I no longer have joint pain. I also wake up to the fact that I was no longer sore. This was all an unexpected bonus that I effortlessly quit coffee. I have been a dedicated coffee drinker my whole entire adult life. One day going through my fridge, I was like, oh my God, my coffee creamer is expired. Then it hit me, you haven't had coffee for 2 months. And I was taken aback by this, but my energy levels were so stable that I never needed coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But today, I find that it's a permanent thing of my lifestyle. I've revolutionized my routine. I get up in the morning, I no longer have to worry about packing food and all that stuff. Just grab my bottles. I'm in my office right now. I have the product extra here, so I don't even have to carry it back and forth. I have been able to do my fasted workouts. I easily get up in the morning between 6:30 and 7. I work out, no energy crashes. I do intermittent fasting between 12 and 1900. And as a bonus, I see I've lost 15 pounds in the last 6 months without. That was not my main thing. My main thing was the brain fog. I just could not take it. It was really, really draining me, and the insomnia. And then also my clothes have started fitting better now. I was moving towards an extra large. Now I'm between a medium and a large, which is a bonus. Just realized the other day, a dress that I tried to button, I just was able to wear it. I was even surprised. My daughter was like, oh, Mom, your dress is fitting you again. So through the whole thing, I like the fact that it has optimized my metabolic function. And being a nurse, of course, I had to do labs before and after. Got checked my hemoglobin A1C, it's decreased from 5.4 to 5 over the last 6 months. I had it done every 3 months.
Awesome.
My fasting glucose is also improved, and my triglycerides have also dropped. And best of all, I just feel good. So now my main people who are asking me, how did you do it and stuff, and that's how now people are getting on board with me, because I told Kemuntu, I'm like, I want to be an example. I don't want to get into a product where I'm doing something that I can't vouch for.
Mm-hmm.
That's my journey in a nutshell.
No, that's awesome. I love all of that. And you just said it so calmly and relaxed. And my brain fog was better. And, I also lost 15 pounds. And that whole putting on an old outfit, I like to say that's going shopping in your closet. So
Exactly.
I love that type of shopping. Okay. That you don't spend any money, you just shop. I love it. I love it. So that was very good. I love what you shared with us. And as a clinician, that's huge. That is huge. That's why Dr. Esther and I do this, is because we see those awful labs. We see those people struggling. And so when you're able to see these things happen for you, it makes all the difference, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's as we cue Dr. Tiffany, Nancy, you mentioned that you were having palpitations, and she mentioned to me that she even had a whole cardiac workup because she thought,
Oh, wow.
and
Wow.
a lot of perimenopausal women do experience palpitations, anxiety, and stuff like that, and all that is gone. Nothing else done. And she's actually, she's been doing the regular Unimate, the one with caffeine. And I know that's something we get a question on. But Nancy had palpitations before, and now they're gone, even with a regular Unimate, because those palpitations, particularly in perimenopause, have everything we talk about: insulin resistance, inflammation, all those things behind them. So you take care of that and solve the problem.
Yes. Well, I love that example. That's because that's one of the questions we always get is, oh my gosh, I have palpitations. I can't take caffeine, because that's what we've been trained to believe. There's so many things we've been trained to believe on the commercials and what some of the teaching was. But there's even new studies that say caffeine can be helpful for palpitations. I've seen that too. So that's why we're on here spilling the tea. Right, Dr. Esther?
Yes. And let's get Dr. Tiffany on. Let her spill some.
Yes. So let's talk about what is it that we're spilling the tea on? We have these people come on, tell their stories. We're all excited, but what is it that people don't fully understand just yet? And so the reality is, a lot of people have been told, one, that you're going to have these chronic conditions forever. They also are often told, when they go to the doctor and they don't feel right, that their blood work's normal, that they're okay. A lot of my perimenopausal women, that's how they come into the doctor. I don't feel quite right. Something's not right. And they're just told, oh, that's just menopause. You'll be all right. Just give it some time. You got to ride through it. But absolutely not. Because if Nancy would have just sat on that and never did anything, all these awesome things she's talking about wouldn't have gotten better. So when you're feeling off, we need to listen. And so a lot of the warning signs are simple things. Even Dr. Esther was talking about how her patient said, I noticed that belly was getting smaller. Well, that stubborn belly fat is a sign that your body is storing instead of burning what you're eating for energy. The hunger and the cravings, the brain fog that Nancy was talking about, the fatigue. I mean, every afternoon I would get a crash and I was like, what is going on? I'd be running on 10 all day, but that afternoon would hit and I would just want to just sit down somewhere. Other body signals, bloating, joint pain, skin tags, darkened patches around the neck. I mean, and then, your triglycerides, your HDL being low, your high blood pressure, your fatty liver. And then when we talk about the hormonal stuff, those women that aren't able to have children with the PCOS, which is now PMOS, meaning they finally understand it's a metabolic health condition too. They aren't able to have children. They have irregular menstrual cycles. Sometimes they're painful. And then even our men with their erectile dysfunction and the lower testosterone, we're finding out if we actually tackle the root and deal with insulin resistance, that so many of these things are getting better, that clearly nobody's crazy. You're feeling the way you are because your body's trying to tell you something. And then, when we spill the tea, we want to make it very clear. Diabetes is not the beginning of the problem, people. That's the issue. Is so many times you'll talk about insulin resistance and they're like, oh, I don't have diabetes. I don't need this. I don't need to hear what you're talking about. Well, I mean, insulin resistance hangs around at least 10 to 15 years before diabetes develops. And when they did that study, that Tufts University study back in 2022, only 7.8% of Americans were actually healthy. Okay. The rest of them, if you do the math, that's like 93 people that are actually having cardiometabolic issues. So do you see how this is not as, niche as somebody would say? There are lots of people struggling. The problem is they don't know that they're struggling. They know they don't feel right. They go to the doctor doesn't check the right labs, and they're told they're okay, or they're told it's just menopause. Well, that's why we're trying to bust this up. Now, how does insulin resistance develop? So when your cells stop listening to insulin, your pancreas that releases insulin, that's a hormone that needs to get glucose into your cells. Your pancreas starts pumping out more. And so you need insulin whenever you're eating because food breaks down into glucose. So carbohydrates break down into the most glucose. Protein breaks down into a little bit of glucose. Your healthy fats, not so much, but with that glucose is energy in the cells. That's one of the energy sources. We can use ketones, but most of the time, if you're a carb heavy eater, you're using a lot of glucose for your energy. Yeah. So your pancreas.
No, it's Petroscan that fell, not me.
And so my co-host, yes. And so your pancreas is pumping insulin to allow that glucose to get into the cells. And so if you're doing a lot of carbohydrate eating, which I'm about to get into, your pancreas is wearing itself out. And it'll keep your blood sugar normal because it's kicking out more and more insulin to get that glucose out the bloodstream so nobody sees it. Pancreas is like, I don't want all this glucose in the bloodstream. That's going to cause so much damage. But at the same time, it doesn't realize that the insulin in the bloodstream causes a lot of damage. So while your blood sugar is normal, now your insulin is high in the bloodstream. And that's when you get the quiet damage, disrupting the fat storage. Okay, now you're having storage around your midsection. You're getting damage to your blood vessels. So now your blood pressure is going up. Your kidneys are holding on to sodium, so it's increasing blood volume. Your blood pressure is going up. Your liver's getting fatty. You're making more triglycerides. But eventually, the pancreas can't keep up. And that's when you're going to actually start to see sugar in the bloodstream. But all this other mess, the other damage, the erectile dysfunction, the PCOS, the migraines, the brain fog, all this other mess was happening before your sugars even went up. So if we're only looking at sugars, we're missing a big piece of the story, right? And so how do we even get there? When I talk about what the insulin did, why did we get there? What happened? Was this some crazy mass genetic problem? Well, we were told, and I was telling people, you had to eat every couple hours, okay? And you needed carbohydrates because you needed that fuel for your body. I don't know how many people on this call remember being told you need to eat every couple hours because I'm not by myself. And I mean, if I can go through all the thousands of patients I've dealt with in my career, I know a lot of them would raise their hand because I was telling bad information. And then on top of that, we started to have more ultra processed foods that took out all the nutrients. And so now we're shooting up the glucose even higher. And now you're having insulin spikes that are even higher, and you're having more of them because you're eating so often, leading, to poor sleep, chronic stress, limited movement. Okay. And so the problem is insulin resistance, does not stay in the blood sugar lane. Just like I was saying, just because your insulin is high, it's not going to just worry about your blood sugar. It causes all these other things in this picture, people. Do you see this? Heart disease, blood vessel damage, increased cardiovascular risk, okay? Low HDL, that's the good cholesterol, okay? This is not even a full list, people, okay? But these are the things that can happen way before your sugar decides it's going to be up. And so I want people to actually look beyond the fasting glucose. When we're saying, so I tell you all this information, then it becomes, so what am I supposed to do? Why isn't my doctor telling me these things? Well, unfortunately, we were trained as physicians to follow the sugar. That's where all the algorithms come from. It comes from following the sugars, not looking at the insulin first, because if we do, we can actually prevent the sugars from getting high and actually improve the sugars in these conditions. So these are other ways that you can look and see if you're at risk. Your waist circumference, because when your insulin is high, it stores that glucose in the fat cells, mostly around your midsection, okay? Mostly around your midsection. And at the same time, it does the blood pressure, the triglycerides, the HDL. And so the HDL lowers and triglycerides increases. So because that happens, looking at that ratio of triglycerides divided by HDL, that's going to give you a crude idea of your insulin resistance. It's called insulin resistance ratio. But what it's really looking at is looking at the lipoprotein A. How much of the LDL particles are actually the A particles, the ones that actually get into the blood vessel lining? That's what that ratio is telling you. Because if that's higher, if it's over 3, yeah, insulin resistance is very high on your list. If it's over 2, yeah, you very much are at risk and need to be making some lifestyle changes. Fasting insulin, that's just looking at your fasting insulin. And this is going to tell you if your insulin is high in the bloodstream. Helpful, right? But all these things are not by themselves. Looking at them together gives you a good picture. Now, of course, an A1C and a fasting glucose is helpful, but it's only helpful once we've gotten to that stage. Before then, we need to look at those other things. So what's the solution? How do we fix this problem? Well, we try to lower the insulin demand. That's increasing the fiber. And we're going to go to a great fiber supplement we like, and building meals around protein and fiber, making them be the stars, not the carbohydrates. When you go to a restaurant, who's the stars in the meals? You get the chips, you get the breadsticks. When you look at your plate, there's a whole heaping serving of carbohydrates. They are the stars. That's what's leading us into these problems. And so also reducing refined carbs. Those are all those foods sitting at the grocery store in the middle aisle. Anything you look at the back of the container and you can't read the ingredients, that's not your friend. That's not good for you. That's going to shoot up your insulin. You don't need to be eating that. And then stop eating all day, because that's what got us here. Your body constantly releasing insulin. So taking breaks, fasting, okay, moving your muscles, because muscles act like a sponge. They suck up that sugar. And nobody needs to be perfect. You just need to keep working on this consistently. And so having something that allows you to do this consistently, allows you to feel more successful, makes all the difference. And so when you address the root, the body can respond. And that's the whole point of what we're talking about. And you can address the root with all the lifestyle changes. The reality is, you can address the root with all lifestyle changes. The reality is, everybody knows they need to do some things. If I have people on this call, you guys are probably thinking about all the things you've tried, all the diets, all the plans, and for some reason, and you know the reason, those things didn't seem to work. Most of the time, it's consistency and sustainability. So that's why we talk about these tools that make that so much easier. And the great thing is, on this call, we have real people talking about their results. We had Nancy talking about their results, and now we're going to have Marcus Whitfield. So your camera needs to come on, sir, sharing his story about how he started tackling his sugar, his type 2 diabetes, and what that means for him and how that has affected his quality of life. So Marcus, I'm going to let you go ahead and share.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcus Whitfield, and I would like to share my ATM story. My ATM story goes as such. Initially, a story started with my father when I was 14 years of age. My father had diabetes, high blood pressure. It was so bad, he lost limbs, um, did dialysis, and all of the above. But at the same time, with these issues that diabetes caused, I lost my father at the age of 14. The story comes when 4 years later, fresh out of high school, I was diagnosed with the same thing that caused my father to leave here. At the age of 18, of course, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, like go to the doctor or whatever. Fresh out of high school. So I was like, just let me live. So my story at the age of 21, I'm fed up now. So I began to go to the doctor. I already knew I had diabetes, so they put me on medicine, metformin. I'm taking 2 shots a day. All the statins that you could think of, I'm just taking it. One pill didn't work, the other pill didn't work, so I'm just taking it, taking it, taking it. Nothing seemed to work. At this point, I was at the point of no return. Return. I was like, well, my father gone, maybe it's my turn. But no, I was introduced to this all natural protocol and I began to take it. And I call it my genie in the bottle. All of these things that medicine could not correct, taking this all natural protocol did just that. Over and over again, I was like, what's going to work? What's going to work? So I was just taking it, faithfully taking it. My God, I was 380 pounds, 380 pounds. And I'm just, all I want to do is eat, 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 stay tired all the time, sleep, even was on CPAP and everything. So I began to take this all natural protocol and everything in my life just changed. It was over. No more pain. In fact, as I lost, let me get it right. I was 380 when at the age of 49. Yeah, I'm 51 now. And now I am like 265, so well over 100 pounds just doing this. Um, all that eating 3 times a day, I don't know where that came from. What I do once, if I can, sometimes me and my wife have to tell each other, babe, we haven't eaten anything because I don't have a desire to eat anymore. So it's just, this is a lifestyle change that everybody should, if you have issues, you should try this protocol. I am not a paid actor, but I'm faithfully saying that this protocol will work. It worked for me, it worked for you. And it doesn't have to be about the weight or whatever. Any issues that you have, other people have stories that they tell, but this is my story. I live by this. I love this thing, and I will always continue to take this because it changed my life. I didn't want to be the one like just giving up, just give up. Like I told you guys earlier, well, diabetes took my father, then maybe it's my time. When I found this was life changing. It did everything for me. No more CPAP. No more medicine. I was taking everything, no more shots twice a day, all the statins that you could think of. I was on all of the above, but now I don't know anything. A1C went from 14 to like it's 5.7 now. I even went to a doctor after the fact. I was taking a product and she was like, is the medicine work? No, ma'am, I don't take the medicine anymore. She asked the question, what are you doing? I simply said, this all natural product. In her words, she's never heard of anything like this. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I did it. I'm still doing it. I won't stop. That's my story.
No, no, the part I like is I'm not a paid actor.
I am not a paid actor.
That was too cute. That was too cute.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Marcus. I
Yes,
love
ma'am.
all of that. Down 100 some pounds. A1C from 14 to 5.6. 7.
7. Yes,
Oh
ma'am.
man. I mean, right on the edge of pre-diabetes, from way out of control to right on the edge. I mean,
Right.
yes. I love that story. That is so awesome. And then the other part? breaking the generational curse on this health.
I know, right?
Love it. Love it. Taking back full control. That's what we talk about. That's what we talk about. So I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, that
Yes,
is
yes.
huge, Marcus. And I'm glad you're not a paid actor. I'm glad you're
I'm not.
sharing from your heart. And it definitely
Right.
was a story that resonates and is
Thank you.
important to share.
Mhm.
Well, so we had Marcus, we had Nancy. I was telling you about the science. So now it's about time to get Dr. Esther to be like, so what is it that we're talking about? What is it that everybody's acting so excited about? Because I'm excited. I'm not a paid actor either. This is just what I do, just because I can. So, Dr. Esther, go ahead and tell the people what we're talking about.
Okay. Okay, any moment now. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what we are talking about is called the Feel Great Protocol. And as you hear from the word, it's not just products. It's really a protocol, because what we are really telling you is most people already know what to do. You've been told this from your doctor, from your relative, from the neighbor around the corner. Everybody on social media is telling you what you need to do with your health. But there is that barrier. It is difficult to do. It is so difficult to move from
You're right.
to actually doing the right things. And that is what this protocol helps you to do. And it keeps making easier, even as it's working for things, but it is making it, it takes work. This is not magic. It will take work, but it makes that work feel much easier. As Dr. Tiffany likes to call it, it's the knife to the fist fight. So you don't have to do this by yourself. You bring a knife and a cheat, but hey, you get the results. So 2 food-based products, nutraceuticals. That means they don't have any drugs in them. They're not pharmaceuticals, they're nutraceuticals, which is basically food whose clinical benefit far outweighs its nutritional benefit. And on top of that is that it can be taken in a consistent way all the time, because it does have dosing, as opposed to just telling you, take this powder or take that. No, this has consistent dosing, because that's what has been studied in double-blind placebo studies, where you can actually see how much it takes to get results. So this is not just something that, buy this and then figure out how much it takes. Sometimes you can take 5 teaspoons, next time take a single one. No, this has dosing to it. And so we combine those 2 nutraceuticals with the art of time-based eating. And when I talk about time-based eating, it's not just about I fasted for 15 hours and then I ate the other 9 hours. No, we do talk about, and as you'll see, we'll talk to you about how to space your meals. And those 2 things are the ones that form the protocol. We have 2 products. One is called Unimate, and as you can see, these are the ingredients of the Unimate. These are not added ingredients. It's basically the plant, the yerba mate plant, that they take and super concentrate it after taking it through a processing system that removes any toxins or anything like that. It's fire roasted, and they extract the active ingredients. These are the active ingredients. We mentioned about caffeine in the beginning. It's not added caffeine. This is natural caffeine that is natural to the plant. What does Unimate do? Unimate, it supports the feelings of well-being. As you saw Nancy talking there, and even seeing Marcus, they just calm people. There's no too much up and down. It's calming. It supports healthy cognitive processes. That brain fog that Nancy went into this seeking the end of, that's completely gone. It helps maintain endurance and stamina. Again, Nancy spoke about being able to work out while she's fasted, just drinking this. It makes you feel full. How does it do that? We are all hearing about GLP-1s and that they help you with your appetite, that you don't keep feeling like you want to eat. But do you know that your intestines already produce GLP-1 hormone? This is not something that they just made up in a lab. No, they just took what you already make and it was cloned into now what they sell to you in shops. You already make GLP-1. So instead of getting something exogenous, why not boost your body to produce its own? And this one comes without all the side effects that are associated with the shots or, the pills, the GLP-1 pills, because this is all your own. It is natural. It behaves just the way it was intended physiologically to behave. It's known to reduce blood sugar levels, as you can see from these little graphs here. When you take fast for energy production, remember I said it supports the feelings of well-being and energy production. By taking the Unimate, you have more energy production. And also it increases that GLP-1 by 67 to 70%. Of course, if you're not eating, you do support weight management efforts. The other way it does that is by actually promoting fat burning. So when you're not eating, your body goes into fat burning mode to try and still continue giving you energy. But this helps boost it so that now you're supercharging that fat burning. It helps promote ketone production. Ketones are very good for the brain. And the other thing that it does, all the other ingredients that I spoke about are anti-inflammatory, antioxidants. So all those things that you're looking for in an anti-inflammation thing or an antioxidant, they're all in one. You don't have to have 15 different bottles in your medicine cabinet of things that, I take this one, this is what root, this is the other one. Nancy told me she tried something called lion's mane, and I was like, oh, okay. So no, you don't need all that. You can get all this in one product. Then the other product is the fiber. This is a blend of all these fibers. If you see here, there's no psyllium husk, there's no, those regular fibers, because this, I like to call it premium fiber. This gives you the fibers that your gut microbiome really needs. It understands that fiber is not just about having good poops. Fiber is about feeding your gut microbiome and letting your gut do all the other things that it does, other than just passing food from one end to the other. What are the benefits of this premium fiber? First, if you have any gut issues, it helps with IBS, constipation, diarrhea. These are all things that have to do with an imbalance in your gut microbiome. The other things that are caused by an imbalance in your gut microbiome are skin issues. Because, either they show up as eczema, you also will see autoimmune diseases showing up on your skin because 70% of our immunity resides in the gut. The gut is the one that trains your immune system as to how to react. Do you bring a fly whisk to this, to whatever is attacking the body, or do you bring the grenade? So it trains your body. When your gut microbiome is out of work, then you start having erratic reactions and your body just either goes super crazy or it doesn't react the way it's supposed to be, or that fire doesn't turn off. And then now you start having a reaction against yourself. 90% of the feel-good hormones in the body are produced in the gut by the gut microbiome. Serotonin, GABA. If you think about the burden of SSRIs, that's a medication for anxiety and depression that is out there. And those only work on the 10% serotonin that's produced in the central nervous system. Why not open the floodgates from the gut and let them flood your body with the other 90%? And then you won't need to try and salvage the 10% with an SSRI. And that's how they help with anxiety and depression. As a fiber, it helps curb your appetite because fibers are filling. So once you eat and you're full, you're not gonna want to eat for another several hours. It also coats all the food that you eat in this fiber. And we know that fiber slows down how fast food moves through your gut and also reduces how fast that food, the glucose from the food being digested hits your bloodstream. So you're not having spikes. And if you don't have spikes, then you don't have an insulin spike, as Dr. Tiffany talked about. It also reduces the amount of dietary cholesterol that is absorbed. So it's helping with sugar absorption by reducing how fast and how high it goes. It's also helping with dietary cholesterol. Of course, all these things will help support your weight management because if you're not having spikes of insulin, you're not storing a lot of that glucose. It helps with time-based eating, as we talked about. When we talk about time-based eating, it's not just about the overnight fast. It's also spacing the meals within your eating window. This product has been studied by the University of Sydney, which is the home of the glycemic index, and they find that just by taking this before a certain carbohydrate. So let's assume you're eating ice cream, same brand, same number of scoops, and one person, one day you take it without fiber and the other day you take it with the fiber. The day you take it with the fiber, your sugar will not go up as high, and that increase will be reduced by up to 40%. That's how much this product works. The other thing is that the Cleveland Clinic has studied this and has said that if such a product is taken regularly, remember consistency, it could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs, which are statins. And we all know the problems with statins, liver problems. Statins are kind of like broad spectrum, lower all the cholesterol, and yet we know we need a lot of the cholesterol for our brain function, nerve function, hormone function. So if you can have something that doesn't strip you of all cholesterol and leaves you with at least, the necessary cholesterol for the for your nerve function, your hormone function, then you have a much better quality of life. How do we take this? When you wake up in the morning, you take the Unimate, because we are trying to extend the overnight fast. And remember, this is the one that increases your GLP-1. So you want to take it to help you increase, lengthen your overnight fast. You can take it at whatever temperature. Then when it's time to break your fast, take your fast meal. Now, you have two options. You can take your fast meal, make it more protein and fiber without much carbohydrates. Don't necessarily need to take a fiber before then. Take another tea, another Unimate in the afternoon, and then before your dinner, and I say this because for most people, dinner is the largest meal of the day. It's the one they share with family, they've cooked. So take the fiber just before your meal. And you want to take it 5 to 10 minutes before your meal. You want to chug on it because it thickens once you leave it in the bottle. You want to sip on the tea. If you want to do it, you can do 1 tea and 2 fibers if you're having 2 larger meals. These products, right now, over 25 clinical studies, they are in the physician desk preference. And the number of times I looked at the physician desk preference and just realizing that these products were hiding in plain sight. But if you don't know what to look for, I mean, those were thick, heavy books. You're not reading every page. And that these products have been there for years. As I said, they're nutraceuticals. If you're here in the US, they're HSA and FSA qualified. We now have them in over 65 countries. They're patented. And the beauty of it, still say, nobody has ever brought this to my attention. There's no pharmaceutical company that gives you a guarantee that if that metformin doesn't work, if the GLP-1 doesn't work, I'm going to give you a 90-day money-back guarantee. This one does. They so believe in this product that they're like, yeah, prove us wrong. We'll give you back your money. What this protocol does is that it keeps you in this fat burning relief zone instead of in the fat storage and protein damage zone. How do you order? Get back to the person that invited you to this call, and they'll send you a discount link that locks in a lifetime discount and also ensures that you're getting the genuine product. Because, they say flattery is the best form, imitation is the best form of flattery. Now we are having to deal with counterfeit product being produced in far-off countries, and you buy this stuff from eBay or Amazon, I don't know what you'll be taking, and we can't guarantee you're getting the real thing. Get it through the right channels because the company controls that. You use these links and you're getting the product directly from the company. So other than the 2 people that were on here, Nancy and Marcus, who are kind enough to share their stories, these products are helping so many other people. Charity begins at home. That is me. I started on this protocol in January last year. And just like Nancy, first it quickly became apparent that this dress would no longer fit me. And, at this point, 5 months later, it was kind of fitting, I could pass, but now it's completely large and it's moved on to, serve somebody else. And, by November, you see, you do not lose muscle. It's just basically fat that you're losing. I've only lost 30 pounds, but I moved from a size 10 to 12 to about 4 to 6 now. That's the beauty of it. Most other things that are out there make you lose muscle. This, you lose what you don't need. That's the visceral fat and the fat that really shouldn't be there. I have more energy. We keep talking about insulin resistance. Most people just get their A1C checked. And A1C is kind of like later when things are already going wrong. If you can get your fasting insulin checked, my fasting insulin was 57.2. The ideal should be below 5. I never had an abnormal A1C, but it was just a matter of time. That 10 to 15 years, I don't know how many years in I was into that. Hair regrowth, as you'll see, no more fatigue, that sharper focus, no brain fog, things that I just thought were all because of perimenopause, but everything just changed. And I can say, I feel so much better. As you can see, that's me. The first picture is the day before I started the protocol, and a few months in, complete change in my face, the clearing. You can see the weight is gone. No wrinkles, if I may say so myself. And then my hair, these two pictures with the blue scarf and this other one are a year apart. And I didn't realize that that was the state of my hair with the hair loss. And then suddenly realizing that my hair has been growing. And I know there are many people here who can talk about all the products they have, all the things they've tried to grow their hair. Just fix your metabolism. Dr. Dieter, between picture 1 and 2, had discovered intermittent fasting and running, but still had high cholesterol, could never get to his ideal weight. 2 months on the protocol, and you can see, different man. This is Jim. Jim had an A1C of 12.2 in spite of being on medications for diabetes, high blood pressure instead of being on medications. Use this protocol, his A1C now is 4.8. I mean, people just dream of such numbers. 4.8, no more high blood pressure. He's not on any medications. His acid reflux completely cleared. No more migraines, no insomnia, just no medications. That burden is gone. Ro, just like Marcus here, had an A1C that was above 14. Even the machine couldn't read it. Came down to 5.9. Now it's closer to 5. Type 1 diabetics, they're also not immune to the same issues that we go through, that everybody else goes through, the lifestyle issues. They also end up with insulin resistance, even in spite of them not producing their own insulin. They become insulin resistant to the insulin that they're injecting, and so they keep needing more and more. Vicky here started on the protocol, lost weight, reduced her insulin dosage by about 80%. Her hair grew back, and she feels much better than she's ever felt. Vicky does not even take pre-meal insulin. Now imagine that, a type 1 diabetic. We know they all have to shoot themselves with insulin before they take medication, before they eat. Not Vicky, she doesn't do that. Acne, this is Bacne, really bad cystic acne on the back. This is a teenager who's 6 months on the protocol. That was the change he got. Psoriasis, an autoimmune disease. I talked about how your gut controls your immunity. Think about the stigma, the social stigma of having a disease like this. And you can see the change in these people within just a few weeks of starting the protocol. This is Bertine. Bertine started just taking the fiber alone in the 2nd trimester of her pregnancy because she was desperate, fatigue, gut issues, constipation, and just could not keep anything down. Literally overnight, all that changed, and in a week, no more swelling in her legs. And she went on to deliver a healthy baby and started taking the tea part of this when her baby was 3 months old. And as you can see, that's her now, now a loud advocate of this protocol. This is Builder Sue, whose family was already thinking about assisted living and, just care, because she was beginning to lose her memory, and they were thinking, she's getting into, that cognitive decline and dementia, and wasn't going to be safe to leave her with her grandchild. She just started on this protocol, and you can see she looks much younger in the 2nd picture. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is Carla. Many people say, I can't do this. I'm a truck driver. You don't know what my life is like. I have to eat crappy food and everything. I can't change my eating. Well, Carla reversed prediabetes, sleep apnea, just by doing this protocol, and she's still a truck driver. And she still ends up every once in a while eating those truck stop meals. And she still managed to lose the weight and reverse that. Keith, we like talking about Keith because if anything could go wrong, it went wrong for Keith. 25 years being a diabetic, 108 units of insulin, including literally being grabbed from the jaws of death because he almost went to the other side because of sepsis. Keith discovered the Feel Great system. And, for those of you who are squeamish, you may want to close your eyes or maybe just look with side eye because you're going to see what he had to overcome. That is the bucket of medications that Keith doesn't take anymore because he's off all his medications. And that is the ulcer that almost took Keith away with sepsis. January 2025, that's how he left the hospital. He underwent thousands of dollars of treatment. And that's what they got to, still could not walk on this foot. 3.5 months on this protocol. And now Keith is up and down running with his grandchild. And I will stop there and ask you, when is your story gonna be here? It doesn't have to be as dramatic as Keith's. It can just be about that quiet improvement in your quality of life where I'm thriving now. I don't feel like everything's coming to an end. That you can hope for tomorrow. Yeah, again, not a paid actor here. None of those people are paid actors. These are all people who are just sharing what is happening to their lives and how they're improving. And I'm sure all the people who are here, in fact, I'll just ask those of you who are here and you're already on the protocol, just put in there what changes you have noticed. And yeah, let's share with the new people. Let them see how this is helping in so many ways. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's great. Awesome job, Dr. Esther. And we have some great stories. Okay. And none of them are paid actors. I love it. But someone put in here in the questions, we had the water comment. You absolutely have to drink water because your insulin resistance, let me say it this way, dehydration makes your insulin resistance worse. And so a lot of times people pick up the tea and then they don't drink the water. So you absolutely have to make sure you're getting your water in. I tell people about half your body weight in water in ounces, but there isn't a full consensus. So some of my people that don't drink water at all, I tell them at least 8 to 10 glasses of water to start because that's a little bit less overwhelming. What about this question here for the person that's been on dialysis for 3 years and asking if the protocol will help that? What do you think?
So people who are on dialysis, of course, end-stage renal disease, whatever led them to that, whether it was through the route of diabetes or high blood pressure that ended up causing, or interstitial kidney disease that ended up causing that end-stage renal failure, still has insulin resistance and inflammation as part of it. Will they recover kidney function and come off diabetes? That I cannot guarantee. But I can tell you that whatever it was that damaged the kidneys is still hanging out there and damaging other organs. And that's why you find that people on dialysis, sometimes it's not even the kidneys that ever take them out. It's something else. They end up having a heart attack. They end up having something else because much as that dialysis was just filtering out the blood because it's just helping the kidney work, it's not really taking care of the root cause of what led you there in the first place. So will they ever come off dialysis? I don't know. I cannot guarantee, and I do not want to say that because I haven't seen anyone, but I have seen quality of life improved and actually helping these people avoid all the other complications that can happen, simply because of whatever led to you having end-stage renal disease.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. It becomes, why not try it? Because it's not something that should harm. It only has the potential to be helpful. And I'd love to be able to hear your story as somebody who can say that. I want to say, I think I have heard of somebody having some improvement, but again, yeah, I couldn't promise that, but I would sure love to see. Who wouldn't want to see it, right? Okay. Oh, people are putting their stuff in here. Love it. Jennifer, brain fog, inches gone, improved vision, sustained energy, 15 pounds lost. Patricia, another RN. Man, we got a lot of clinicians on here, huh? No more astigmatism, no more palpitations, thyroid disease. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that in the chat. That is so awesome. I am loving every result. You know what I like, Dr. Esther? And I'm not going to hold everybody on this call too long. I like how, because we're all separate and different people, we all have our separate stories. And so Beverly putting here the skin tags, significantly reduced, no snacking, saving money. That's awesome. Because how many people we don't know with skin tags? You know, Nancy had her story too, her 15 pounds going shopping in her closet. Awesome. Everybody's story. Oh, I guess I need to share mine real quick. Off 3 medicines, 2 of them were blood pressure medicines. One was an antidepressant. I got off of my blood pressure medicine. Who doesn't want that type of stuff? And having family members with type 2 diabetes and people who are losing their legs. That was my grandmother, my father who died after his 3rd stroke at age
You got to
50.
make a vow to yourself.
Yep. My co-host, y'all ain't working. Y'all ain't working. So when you have that type of family history, you want to do everything you can. And so that's why we do these calls, to be able to show you what are some things you can look at before you have these problems. And I think Dr. and Esther and I did a great job at showing those things to you so that you leave with tools and education to be able to help others as well as yourself. Dr. Esther, how would you close us out for tonight, unless we have some more questions?
Let's see, just before we close out. No, it's just more testimonies. My husband lost 30 pounds, down 6 inches in his waist, off CPAP machine, no issues with Crohn's disease, and has plenty of energy. Okay,
Yes.
well, these stories, as you know, as Dr. Tiffany said, they're so different because, and
Hello. Hello, guys. Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
I'm sorry.
What is this?
okay.
Did you have something you were trying to share? Okay, I can't find them. Okay. Go back to it, Dr. Esther.
Yeah. So the stories that you hear, you're wondering, because we are so used to a system where every little thing, you go into the doctors with a headache, you get a medicine for your headache. Next day, you go with a different kind of issues. My neck hurts, and you get another medicine. You go for high blood pressure, you get a different medicine for high blood pressure. Your cholesterol starts going up, you get another one. You have pre-diabetes or diabetes, you get another one. We are used to the piecemeal kind of thing, like patchwork. We're giving you something for every little thing, just trying and patching up the hole, and your body just keeps leaking in different places. And we're just trying to, okay, how long can we keep this going? And, you know, someone mentioned when they were telling me their story, and they just said, you know, they felt like their parents were medicated to death. Because unfortunately, and I'm sad to say that, but that's what we do. That's what our system does. It just puts medications, one medication after the other, and we never really solve the root cause.
Yeah.
Maybe you're seeing tears because it makes me think of family members where that has happened, and I've watched it. And now that I know better, I wish I could go back and change things.
Right.
But I know better, and I can change things for the people who are here. And if we can change things for you and your family and the people you love, it will be worth it. So take a chance.
So how do we do that? Because it feels like you described my life.
Okay, thanks, Joyce, for that question. That's what we were talking about, this whole protocol. And maybe if you missed the beginning of it, the person who invited you to this call can get you a recording. And, you know, and also if it's somebody who's not using the protocol, I'd be happy to get on a call with you and that person and just explain what this is about, because we're about to close this this presentation, but we'll be happy to, you know, tell you about this. But it's basically incorporating this protocol into whatever else you're doing, and it just supercharges all your efforts, even while it has its own clinical benefits. So take a chance on yourself. You are not deficient in any medication. You're not lisinopril deficient. You're not metformin deficient. We are metabolic beings. That means every single cell in our body needs energy to work. And if it doesn't work, that's where the problems come in. Whether those problems are in your skin, in your hair, in your intestines, in your heart, in your blood vessels, in your liver, in your brain, every single cell needs to be efficiently producing energy. And when that starts failing, depending on who you are, you present with a different problem. And that's why you see that when people start using this, the results are so varied. But it's because everybody's system fails in different ways. Imagine when electricity goes out, what happens? You lose Wi-Fi, you lose lights, you lose the fridge, your washer doesn't work. So many systems get affected when you stop having the right amount of energy coming in. It's the same thing with our bodies. And for some people, it's more of a problem that the laundry machine went off as opposed to the fridge, or the Wi-Fi went off. So many things get affected by one system. Energy production. So let's fix that. Let's fix our insulin resistance and our gut, because those are things that are responsible for everything that happens in our body.
Yes. Yes. You are worth the investment. And so we hope you figured that out. And that's why you're on this call, and you're going to connect with the person that invited you. And we'll be back again next Wednesday doing the same thing, spilling the tea, me and my beautiful friend, Dr. Esther. So we enjoyed this. We appreciate you all. Have some more questions next week. And have a great night.
Good night. And bring more people next time. And anybody who needs to get on a call, just reach out to the person who invited you. Somehow it will end up back to us if we need to, like, just explain something more that, that we can't do in this call because we are way over time. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you. Great
You're
call.
welcome. Good night.
Good night.